Our agenda will continue with a presentation on the opportunities for energy and energy efficiency projects with EU funding in Bulgaria. I'm delighted to welcome Evgeniy Ivanov. He is General Manager and Board Member of Euroconsultants Bulgaria and also the Head of Technology Transfer Office at Quasar. His area of expertise is European integration, with more than 10 years of experience in the field of consultancy services, with previous engagements in projects funded by the FAR program, United Nations Development Program, United States Agency for International Development, and more. And after Evgeniy, we will have one more presentation on renewable energy sector with Liliya Goranova, who is also joining us at the stage right now. Without further ado, Evgeniy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Okay, this is my presentation. Firstly, let me start with good luck to the English national football team with your forthcoming game with France. I hope you win. I don't like the French national team, but now we shall be speaking. Yes, indeed. Now we shall be speaking about where is the money and how we can get access to those money which are coming over the next 10 years. What we know so far is that there is over 25 billion euro coming to Bulgaria in the next 10 years. If you ask me how they will come to the country, we know the sources, but we don't know the mechanism how they will be spent. And this is a key challenge to all the managing authorities of the national operational programs. And unlike in other countries, very little consultancy support is used by the government and by the state institutions to optimize the spending, because this is what matters in the end, how companies will get access to this money and undertake the state agenda. If you're asking another question to yourself at night, when Bulgaria will become rich or averagely rich, let me tell you the answer. It's in GDP terms, 250 billion euro. This is if we want for the country to be an averagely rich European or world country, 250 billion euro. This is based on the number of the population that we're having right now, 6.5 million people, and based on the resources that we're having, which are not so much into natural resources rather than people and businesses. So how much is Bulgaria having right now? Per year, around 65 billion euro. So we must increase our GDP by 4 times to become like Ireland or like Finland, which are similar in size, similar in human resources. And these are the money that we're taking access to in the next up to 10 years. And we should utilize them in the maximum best manner. I'm now going to speak mainly about how we get investments into energy and energy efficiency, but it is all linked. And this is where Bulgaria in new energy solutions has potential to develop so that it becomes one of the leaders in the region. I wouldn't think that mobile reactors and hydrogen and renewables will be a key source of energy, but I'm thinking that over the next 15 years, we shall have new energy sources which are currently under development. Imagine kryptonite, imagine vibranium. So basically what we're speaking right now may change over the next decade or maybe next 20 years. But okay, let's get back to the present. We have 6 main sources of funding for Bulgaria over the next 10 years. One is the partnership agreement, where we have national operational programs, about 11 billion euro. Then we have the agricultural development fund, around 5.5 billion euro. I continue with the billions under the recovery and resilience plan. Also the Just Transition Fund, 1.2 billion euro. We have the cross-border cooperation programs. Some of them will invest in energy and energy efficiency. And of course, we have the huge number of billions from the European money coming directly through the European Commission. This is Life Plus, Interreg, Horizon, etc. So basically, the more active Bulgaria is, the more money it will get over the next 10 years. And I'm saying 10 years because the current operational programs, the money should be spent, verified by 2029. The money under the Recovery and Resilience Plan should be spent, verified, invested, audited, certified by 2026. Is it possible? I think not. And this is why we have to invest a lot into consultancy. And this is what currently the Bulgarian government should understand, that by the resources that they have in-house, it's not possible to undertake such investments. The squares that you see with a star, they have the most of the money for energy and energy efficiency. I will start with the partnership agreement, then go quick through the remaining funding sources, and I will finish in the next up to 16 minutes. So again, here we see 8 programs. The previous operational programs are now just called programs, where there is money for energy and energy efficiency. Again, the ones which are marked with the star, they provide money for energy and energy efficiency projects, mainly construction, mainly investments into buildings, either existing or new ones. Buildings owned by the municipalities, buildings owned by the businesses, or other beneficiaries. Below we see the strategic plan for rural development. It also has money, but I don't know how much yet, for investments in rural areas. Currently we have 10 major municipalities which are urban. We have 40 more which are second-level urban municipalities, and the remaining ones, which is 215, are rural municipalities. They will get money for energy conservation of their buildings in the rural areas. Okay, let me go through some of the operational programs. We start with the first one, which is giving huge amounts of money to the 10 urban municipalities. You can see them here. I hope you can read. This is Blagoevgrad, Burgas, Sofia, of course, Varna, Veliko Tarnovo, Vidin, Pleven, Plovdiv, Ruse, and Stara Zagora. They will get each around 40 million euro for different investments. And the second bullet you see here is for energy efficiency and sustainable renovation of residential and public buildings. We don't know, or maybe we know, but it's not clear yet how much money this will be, but still a lot of money will be invested into buildings. I don't think this is a good investment, but still it is put into the operational programs. Any of those investments that you see here, each of the bullets, it will have to comply with the do no significant harm principle, a new principle introduced by the European Commission, according to which each of the physical investments, infrastructure investments, will have to comply with 6 sub-principles related to the European Green Deal. Each of the projects will have to go through an assessment and to prove that no significant harm to environment has been done during the construction phase. Priority 2 of this program has the same investments like priority 1, but the eligible beneficiaries here for around 1 billion euro are the 40 smaller urban municipalities. They're speaking about agglomerations of municipalities under this program, which means that even the adjoining areas to those municipalities will have access to funding. Therefore, if you're a company planning to be a subcontractor or a beneficiaries, you should be following the indicative programs for each of the operational programs, some of which are already announced for next year, so that you can know what is coming over the next year in terms of beneficiaries or subcontracting opportunities, because any of you who is here, I suppose you would be interested in how to get access to part of those money to be invested in the local economy and how to benefit the increase of Bulgaria's GDP. As I said, 250 billion euro is what we need. And instead of the politicians trying to speak about other topics, this should be the main topic. How we get closer to this number. We're going to the second program, which is competitiveness and innovations in enterprises. Here, only companies are eligible. NGOs are not eligible, but as you can see, it has 5 different aspects of investments. One is R&D and innovations, where money can be taken for R&D into different energy solutions, different from the current one, or improving the current ones. Digitalization, it also has some reference to energy efficiency. Growth and competitiveness, this is another type of investment for purchasing machinery and equipment to improve the production capacity, but at the same time those investments should be linked to energy efficiency. And we have number 4, specific investments for improving the energy effectiveness in companies. And number 5, it has also reference to energy efficiency and effectiveness transfer to the circular economy. You can see that over 40% of the money will be given to energy efficiency and circular economy projects. Each year, at the end of the current year, I think the plan is already announced. We will know what's going to happen next year. We see, according to the preliminary analysis, that innovations in enterprises will be a grant scheme opened in the 4th quarter, they say, but I would assume that this will be opened early next year. Development of innovations, then production capacities in the quarter 1, quarter 2 of next year, and then innovations in companies and production capacity again in quarter 1 or 2. So get ready for those money. What is the problem? The one is that the managing authority of the program has to manage several thousand projects. The previous ones, which are around 30,000, the new ones, which are several thousand, and the forthcoming ones. And this will lead to significant administrative burden to the managing authority. It is not willing to subcontract part of the work to external expertise like it is done in other countries. And this is an issue which should be pointed out should any of you or the ambassador is discussing with the government, especially in view of British companies. And since the UK is no longer a member of the European Union, I think DFID should start providing technical assistance to Bulgaria again. We have an open floor for this and for other issues. Okay, let's take a look at my favorite program, which is Research, Innovation and Digitalization for Smart Transformation. It will be giving money to scientific institutes and to technology transfer centers, offices, or activities. So huge amounts of money will be invested into these actions. Some of the existing centers of competence or centers of excellence, currently 11 or 12, will be direct beneficiaries under priority 1 of the program. Under the second one, around 260 million euro will be invested in cyber security and digitalization of the state sector. And just for your information, let's take a look at 2 of the other programs. Environment, it will be investing in similar things compared to the previous programming period. The only difference is priority number 4, which is risk and climate change. It is not so much money, but it will be investing into the Green Deal priorities of Bulgaria. The program Transport Connectivity will be investing in very small number, but key projects for developing the Trans-European Transport Network, TEN-T, TEN-N Transport Network. Some money will be invested into intermodality and soft activities, but the majority of the transport connectivity program and environmental program will be invested into physical infrastructure. Recovery and Resilience Plan. It is 10.4 billion in total, but this is the European funding. This is the private funding which has to be generated through private companies, and the national funding which will have to come through the state, one way or another. Here we have 4 pillars: Innovative Bulgaria, Green, Connected and Fairer Bulgaria. You can see the money here, and I suppose you will get all those presentations when we finish the meeting, so that you can get a closer look at what's available here. Under the Innovative Bulgaria, again, investments into companies, scientific institutions, state institutions. Some part of the money will be for energy and energy efficiency. Green Bulgaria is the one where there is the greatest number of measures aimed at low carbon economy, which has relation to energy and energy efficiency. Connected Bulgaria is again physical infrastructure, digital connectedness or physical connectedness. Fair Bulgaria is an investment into the judiciary and other projects trying to develop the country and to make it fair, which probably means it's not fair right now, but anyhow. You can see the key beneficiaries here. In our previous discussions, there was a question about huge investments in batteries, into different renewable energy sources. The main question here is, how will the technical designs, how will they be made, when and how the procurement procedures will take place. Again, the deadline for spending the money is 2026. I'm sure the European Commission will give an extension to each of the plans, but still we'll have to start working even now. I doubt we've done enough efforts at state level to develop all those technical designs, preliminary designs, procurement procedures, in case you have to invest in land or try to see if the land is private, how to make it state, etc. So here you see a list of investments, and the Ministry of Energy will get over 2.7 billion leva, which is around 1.4 billion euro. I'm not speaking in detail because you may get to the intranet and all this information is there. Here it is just summarized. The Recovery and Resilience Plan is published, and for each of the investments in the Recovery and Resilience Plan, there are project fishes. Unfortunately, they're only in Bulgarian, but when you get to the website, you can download the plan and the project fishes. Of course, they're preliminary and there might be changes over time. Here we see 13 specific investments for energy and energy efficiency from the Recovery and Resilience Plan. You may not be able to read them based on the size of the letters, but the overall amount of investment is around 7 billion leva, which is around 3.67 billion euro. In different, some exotic, others not so exotic, like 1.4 gigawatts of renewable energy sources and batteries. Okay, economic transformation program. This is for companies only. Now, we go to 1.2 billion euro. This is another fund which did not exist in the previous programming period, the Just Transition Fund. This is money for 3 Bulgarian districts, Stara Zagora, Pernik and Kyustendil. Why? Because in the Maritsa East complex is based in Stara Zagora. In Kyustendil we have the Bobov Dol mines and thermal power plants based on coal. And in Pernik we also have some mining operations and Pernik thermal power plant. So Stara Zagora, Pernik and Kyustendil will get 1.2 billion euro for transformation of the local energy sector into a non-green gas producing emissions. So we have pillar 1, pillar 2. The 3 plans are very similar. We have investments in battery productions, cleaning the land, renewables, centers for vocational training and education, and we have some investments into companies. The 3 plans are very short, around 20 pages each. You can also download them from strategy.bg or right on the internet, Just Transition Fund or plans for taking advantage of the Just Transition Fund, and you'll find it. This money will go through priority 3 of the program for development of the regions. Okay, that's all from me. Please take a picture of my contact details if you need any additional information. But still, there is enough information. Everything which I spoke about is on the internet. Thank you so much. And good luck again to England.
Thank you very much, Evgeniy. You're right, everything is available online. However, it's so difficult to navigate all the information, so your presentation was very useful to put some structure in on the available funds. I will ask our audience to leave all the questions until we hear from our last presenter, and both Evgeniy and Liliya will be available for your questions. And yes, all presentations will be available for you to download, so don't worry, all this information that our presenters shared will be at your disposal. Now I would like to introduce our last speaker for the day, Liliya Goranova. As usual, we leave some of the best for last. So Lily is the business unit manager and head of insights at SeeNews, who will tell us a little more about the renewable sector in Bulgaria. She has experience in the media production and business information industry. She is a managing editor with a demonstrated history of working in the media, skilled in people management, product management, news writing, business journalism, and business analysis and research. Liliya, the floor is yours.
Thank you. That last bit really caught me off guard. I didn't know I'm so skillful. Thank you, Desi. And also thank you all for staying. Hope you had the opportunity to catch some fresh air. And I'm very happy to be able to actually present some key findings from our report. I think you all have it. Yeah, there it is, right there. Can I get the presentation actually? Nope, it's not here. There it is, I think. Okay. Right. I'm very happy that we actually had this short post so that we can emphasize that it was a good year for Bulgaria's renewable energy sector. It was a good harvest, so to speak. So, first of all, this slide here is meant to tell you why we are focusing on the renewable energy sector and why in Bulgaria. I now, after we had all these discussions, realize that this might not be a question for you already, because this is a up-and-coming sector, and it's a very, how should I put it, buzzing sector in Bulgaria. But nevertheless, first of all, I should say that SeeNews stands for impartiality, but we also believe that there are causes that need to be championed, and sustainability is one of these causes, and we are very focused on championing our causes. Again, as a business analysis agency, we also are trying to address gaps. And there was no comprehensive study on the renewable energy sector in Bulgaria prior to our study. This is our second edition. We published it last year for the first time. Also, it's, so to speak, a natural evolution in our footprint. We have already made several studies on the Green Deal in Bulgaria. We also have report on the ESG and how it is being implemented in Bulgaria. And just to note, the next step in this natural evolution would be our regional report for the renewable energy sector, which we will be publishing in February next year. And also, this report is sort of the poster child of our capabilities. So SeeNews has two brands, SeeNews.com, which is focusing on the region, the Southeast Europe region, and we also have the Renewables Now brand, which is focusing on the renewable energy sector globally. And so we are combining our expertise in both the region and the vertical, and this is the result. Now, I would like to thank our partners in the preparation of this report, Gugushev and Partners Law Firm. We are publishing the report together with them for the second year in a row, and they took charge of updates on the regulatory framework in Bulgaria and also updates on the financing opportunities. And I need to make a small disclaimer here now, because later in the slides you will see figures that are slightly different than what we've heard already. And my explanation here for that in advance would be first that our analysis includes overview of financing opportunities for renewable energy projects in Bulgaria only. Also, like Evgeniy said, we don't know yet what's the total amount of the funds that are coming our way, which is something interesting that I think we all need to discuss and see how we can address that gap in the long run. Now, our report includes 1,869 companies. These are all companies that are based in Bulgaria. And we have actually divided them in three segments. As you can see, operation, maintenance, and asset management, construction, engineering or project development, and manufacturing. Two of the segments, operation, maintenance, and asset management, and construction, engineering, and project development, are actually then divided into several subsegments. These subsegments are based on the source of energy that the companies are basing their operations on. So solar and wind, hydropower, biomass, gas from renewables, and we also have the elusive other subsegment. So what's other? Other is basically all companies that have activities that are spanning more than one source of energy, and we have a lot of those actually in Bulgaria. And we prepared the report in the period July-November 2022. One question that I always get about our industry reports is, why do you have data for the previous year and not this year? And the answer, of course, is because companies are publishing their financials right now for the previous year. And obviously, in the third year of our edition, which will certainly happen, we will have the data for this year. Now, let's start with the bigger picture, and then I'll dive a bit more into the financial analysis. Renewables accounted for 40.4% of Bulgaria's generation capacity in 2021. This is in numbers 5,223 megawatts. Now, when it comes to generation, we have a slightly different figure. So in 2021, renewables accounted for 17.5% of the gross electricity generation. We said here that there is an opportunity. What's the opportunity, you would ask? First of all, when we talk about capacity, it's obvious that power plants can't always work at full capacity. So the discrepancy between these two numbers is not so uncommon. However, there is one thing, and this has been mentioned already a lot: energy storage. We do have installed capacity, but we are losing energy that we can actually store. 6-hour, 10-hour batteries. We still need to address this gap, and we do have the opportunity to narrow the gap between these two figures. Now, I know that big figures are something that always makes a lasting impression, and people get out of a presentation with figures in mind. So this is the first one you can actually, remember. In 2021, Bulgarian renewable energy companies increased their salary expenses by 18.5%. So now you get the flavor why I say it was a good year for the Bulgarian renewable energy sector. Now, let's dive a bit more on the segments. The biggest segment in the Bulgarian renewable energy sector is operation, maintenance, and asset management. However, the fastest growing is construction, engineering, and project development. Why is that? We've noticed there is a surge in demand for the construction of renewable projects. From smaller companies, even households, to bigger companies, everyone is now looking to invest and construct own capacities. And we think that going forward, the construction, engineering, and project development segment would actually have a bigger role in the long term in the Bulgarian renewable energy sector, and even maybe catch up to operation and maintenance in the long run. And this is what Bulgaria's renewable maps looks like. So solar and wind naturally are dominating our capacities. There are even regions like Silistra and Shumen, where 100% of the companies operating are actually dedicated to solar and wind. There is only one region in Bulgaria where solar and wind is not dominating. This is Molen, where hydropower is actually the segment that is, the subsegment, sorry, that is more pronounced. When it comes to foreign investments, and here is something interesting, the Bulgarian renewable energy sector is actually predominantly Bulgarian-owned. Most of the companies are owned by Bulgarian investors. Around 14% of the companies operating in the sector are owned by foreign investors. And the biggest ones are Germany, with 39 investments as of 2021, and Italy, with 36 investment as of 2021. The top 5 includes also Austria, the Czech Republic, and Greece. And in the top 10, we have countries like Luxembourg and Turkey and Cyprus. Now, and here's the disclaimer that I made earlier. So far, we have 11 available financing instruments for the 2021-2027 program period at EU level for renewable energy projects. Bulgaria, based on our calculations, has available 6.45 billion euros exclusively for the country. But then we have overreaching programs such as Next Generation EU, Invest EU, that are expected to trigger investments and funds of 453 billion euro across EU. So the discrepancy here is, yeah.
I don't think we have a discrepancy.
You don't?
No.
Okay, good. No, because when you mentioned the 20 billion, 25 billion was it? This is total for Bulgaria, right. Now, what is vendors landscape? This is basically what we call our analysis on the sector and the market size of the sector. Like I mentioned already, the solar and wind subsegment is dominating the renewable energy landscape. As you can see, this is the most numerous subsegment, both in the operation, maintenance, and asset management, and also in the construction, engineering, and project development segment. Manufacturing, and by manufacturing we mean companies that are making batteries, power equipment, and turbines for renewable energy power plants. We had 11 companies in 2021. I think we had 8 in 2022. When I said that construction, engineering, and project development is the fastest growing segment, what I meant is that it more than doubled the number of companies from 2020 to 2021. For comparison, the operation, maintenance, and asset management segment grew by only 14% last year. So as you can see, surging demand is definitely driving the growth of the construction, engineering, and project development segment. Now, another big figure that I'm sure you all remember In 2021, the Bulgarian renewable energy sector saw its operating revenue surge by 41% to 1.5 billion euro. Why is that? So last year we already saw the beginning of the rise in electricity prices. Maybe this year we will have even bigger numbers. I believe so. But also there is increasing demand for alternative energy sources in Bulgaria. The surge in the number of companies across the segments shows it. And I consider this to actually be sustainable growth for the industry. And this is something that this is a trend that we will be looking at in the long run. And the other number I would all want you to remember going out from the room, this is the long-term investments of the industry. So in 2021, it was 62.1 million euro. In 2022, it was 25 million euro. What does that tell us? I think it tells us that the renewable energy industry is actually the industry that is looking ahead in the long run and is making investments, knowing that and betting that the industry will keep growing. And I think this is the essence of our analysis and the essence of this presentation. The renewable energy industry in Bulgaria is not just here to stay, but here to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lily. Thank you very much both to Evgeniy and to Lily for speaking quickly so we can have time for questions. So now the floor is yours for questions. Who would like to kick off? Don't be shy. Tim?
Yeah, thanks, Desi. Tim Buistray from the British Embassy again. I just wanted to check with Evgeniy, I guess. Which of these many programs and lots of money are, let's say, the most advanced in terms of being accessible to, the businesses and authorities that should be beneficiaries? So I think you mentioned the Competitiveness and Innovation Program is due to launch early next year. Maybe that's one of them. But yeah, any more information on that would be useful. Thanks. Okay.
Thank you for the question. Maybe I should go back to the presentation. In fact, under the Recovery and Resilience Plan, already grant schemes have been opened. One of them was for, this is the Economic Transformation Program. One of the grant schemes was opened. I can't tell you which one, but currently we have another open grant scheme till the 19th of December. This is for ICT and cyber security. And we have one in progress where the guidelines for applicants are under discussion. This is for energy efficiency investments in companies. I think the one which was opened and closed, and there are several thousand applications, is for buying machinery and equipment. But the new one, which is coming, this will be specifically for energy efficiency investments, like you install photovoltaics for your own purposes, not for selling energy to the market. Everybody in Bulgaria is looking for photovoltaics and selling to the electricity grid. This is like a national sport, what I see now. Everybody is trying to get money for such investments. We receive every day 10 to 15 calls by companies, tell me how I can get money from the European Union to invest. I have 3,000 square meters to invest photovoltaics and sell to the grid. I think this is the main interest of Bulgarians. So this is the one, the Economic Transformation Program. You see here that the European Investment Fund or bank, I don't know yet which one, will be managing equity funds here for Bulgarian companies. So venture capital or equity funds. And the second forthcoming opportunity is indeed under the Competitiveness Operational Program, which should be starting as of next year. It's already approved by the European Commission, so we should be expecting indicative guidelines for applicants. Then there is around 1 month and a half discussion. Then they will be summarized and we have the final guidelines for applicants. So Q1, Q2, middle of next year, we should be having the new grant schemes. So I hope this answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you, Evgeniy. Any more questions? Yes.
I think it'd be fair to say that both the UK and Bulgaria have suffered in recent times in with lack of stability in the government. And is there a dependency? How does that impact the ability to access and productively use available funds that you've talked about today?
Okay, I've seen macroeconomic statistics, and over the last year when we didn't have a stable government, I think the business is doing great. I don't see any issues. I mean, increasing GDP, increasing sales, exports. So as long as we don't have a government, it seems that the business will do by its own with no any issues. But indeed, back to your questions, yes. Firstly, the government has to pass several bills in order for the recovery and resilience plan to progress. And then they will have to design the grant schemes through the different institutions. And I don't see any political commitment right now within the ministries. There is fear whether you finalize the procurement documentation or how do you proceed with it. So in this respect, for the recovery and resilience plan, yes, we need stability. We need stable government, which will not happen until maybe June, July next year if we're lucky enough. But still, yes, in this recovery and resilience plan, yes, for the operational programs, we don't have any issues because currently the managing authorities, they're the same. They're just going on with their regular procedures. But for the 10+ billion euro under the plan, yes, we need political stability.
Thank you to the organizers. It's a very interesting conference, and today we're speaking mainly for the green business. Therefore, I appreciate both presentations, and my question is going to the first presentation. Thanks to your competence and preparation for the presentation, and when you're speaking about the recovery and resilience plan, on the other side, the other fund, just transition fund, do you see any synergy? Speaking about the green energy, you already mentioned that some of the project can be changed in the future if it's possible. Of course, Bulgaria has to adopt the legislation. Hopefully it will happen in 2023. But speaking about the region, what you mentioned, Kostidil, Pernik and Maritsa East, how do you think and predict this can be done together with the, from one side, the Just Transition Fund, and on the other side, Recovery and Resilience Plan, because it's really huge trouble regarding the thermal power plants, on the other side, the environment, speaking about the energy, batteries, energy storages, and Just Transition Fund, do you have an idea that both of them are going in the same direction? Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Based on the Just Transition Fund and the Recovery and Resilience Plan and the national operational programs, the key challenge is to ensure that there is demarcation so that one investment is not funded by two funds at the same time. So in this respect, there are huge challenges. And I'm not sure whether the Council of Ministers or whoever is responsible for maintaining those investment sources, because we see them as operational programs, but basically this is money that we're given to invest for a specific end. I'm trying to find the recovery and resilience plan. They were a bit further, but this is the main challenge. They're overlapping for certain. And then it's a matter of, for the managing authorities trying to distinguish which investment is done in which area, and it doesn't coincide with the similar investment into the other area. Okay, let me find. Okay, this is it, the Just Transition Fund. Very similar investments in each of the three areas. Very minor differences based on specifics in each of the areas.
My point, let's be more specific when we are speaking, let's say, one of the examples, what was planned, let's say, to have batteries and probably battery production. We'll see is that going on. No, but from one side, if this is a plan, let's say, to recover the situation in Maritsa East region, on the other side, the other slots of the other thermal power plants, and therefore I got your point that this can be not by the both funds, but on the other side, from one side to have energy storages, on the other side, if you have the opportunity for investments of such storage, including batteries, this can be more useful if possible to combine both of them. Thank you.
I certainly agree with you, but again, those plans are they're very basic. They're like 20-25 pages. There is not much detail. Each of those investments that you see here is like 1.5 paragraphs. So they still have to develop the plans and to make it into grant schemes, because we should also try to see who will be the beneficiary in this case. Because you have managing authority, you have a beneficiary. We don't know yet whether it's going to be the municipality or the businesses, and this has to be developed over time throughout the implementation process. So I very much hope we'll be able to answer your question at some point.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you.
I have a question to Liliya, if I may. How is Bulgaria doing compared to other countries in the region in the renewable sector, and what are some of the lessons that we can learn from the more developed markets?
Right. Well, Greece always jumps to mind as the first example in the region, as the country that is the most advanced in terms of the renewable energy sector, in terms of implementation of the Green Deal, targets. So what Greece did several years ago and is still in the process of doing is closing their coal power plants, but investing aggressively in renewable energy sources, and then investing aggressively in actually reskilling its workforce from the coal power plants and the traditional energy sector, so that they can actually work within the renewable industry and remain connected to the energy sector. As you know, being expert in traditional energy sources easily can translate into being expert in renewable energy sources. They have established a state-owned company that is focused on that. So Greece is one example here. Romania, as our closest neighbor and a country that we're always coupled with when it comes to EU agenda, now we're again being coupled with Romania in terms of the Schengen and this topic of the day, is doing better than us in terms of they have already set a deadline for the closure of their coal power plants. It's a closer date than the one that we have mentioned in the recovery and resilience plan. I think we have mentioned 2032, but we haven't established that as the definite date for the closure of our coal power plants. So Romania, I think, is targeting 2030. Now, truth is, Bulgaria is actually among the countries that have a fairly decent share of renewables in their electricity generation mix already. So the 17.5% I quoted, there are a lot of countries in Western Europe actually that have a smaller share than that. So we're faring better than more developed economies in that sense. I wouldn't dare give the Scandinavian countries and Germany as an example, because we know that they're far off in terms of implementation of renewables and in terms of implementation of the Green Deal compared with many other economies, not only in the region, but also in Western Europe and the whole continent. So, but when it comes to countries in the region, and when it comes to other countries such as Italy and Spain, Malta, Bulgaria is actually doing better than them. So what my short answer here would be, there are areas that we are still catching up. There are areas that we are on par with the average EU development. There aren't areas we're excelling in right now.
Thank you, Lily. We have time for one or two more questions.
Thank you for the presentations, both very interesting. My name is Georgi Penchev from Hydro Energy Company. To Liliya is my question, if you could phrase out a couple of key findings from the SeeNews report, what would they be besides storage capacity investment? And maybe this increase in salaries that you mentioned about, so is it due to the increase of the headcount, or it's an indexation phenomenon?
Okay, thank you. So first, to respond to the second question, there is increase in the headcount. However, the increase in salaries is actually accelerating and is actually bigger than that in headcount. So in headcount, I think we have an increase of about 4 to 5%, and the increase in salaries, I wouldn't call it indexation only. So I think it's a policy across the sector. Now, when you're asking about other key findings from the report, apart from investments in energy storage, we have focused on try to analyze where Bulgaria stands in terms of implementation of hydrogen in comparison with Romania. One of our key findings there and conclusions, I would say, is that Romania again is a bit more advanced in terms of regulations and legislative framework when it comes to the implementation of hydrogen. In Bulgaria, we are still lacking a coherent policy structure regarding this particular source. This is, but however, in the last few months, there has been some talk of regulations regarding this. Another key finding, I think, would be the fact that, so looking ahead 3 years from now, across all indicators in our financial analysis, there is no indication that there would be a slowdown for the renewable energy sector, regardless of whether we are facing a new recession, and I think we all agree that we are. The sector will probably continue growing, maybe at a slower pace than it did 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. So 10 years ago was the boom in the Bulgarian renewable energy sector when it comes to the establishment of new number of companies. 2022, 2021 and 2020, so the last 3 years show us that maybe we're now witnessing a second period of boom when it comes to the establishment of new companies, which indicates that there would be no slowdown. So I think this is another key finding here.
Thank you very much, Lily. I think this is a very nice message to finish the conference today. No indication of slowdown in the renewable sector, and I hope no indication of slowdown in the interest towards green business and sharing best practices in this area. So I would like again to thank Evgeniy and Liliya and all our speakers and panelists today. Thank you very much to our audience for being so active and asking questions. Thanks again to Baringa for the great contribution, and to the Intercontinental for hosting us today, to Vibe Systems for making the technical part run smoothly. Thank you very much, and let's stay in touch. Have a great day. Goodbye.